Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we'll have a talk about a Linux project, such as a Linux distribution, a desktop environment or application. We'll also chat about any variety of topics from the community, from the world wide web of excitement. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I have almost, real close, almost. It's not like I have a plushie that I keep by my side all the time, because that would be crazy. Or one that just kind of looks like it could have been, also. But it's not, I have another one too in the house. I got it, Anyway, with me today, so we're down one. I have Eris, Colin, Jinda, Sean. How is everybody?
Good.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So we're in the crazy holiday season. By the old tradition, I think today's the 6th day of Christmas. So we're halfway through the old Christmas season. Although most people have already thrown their Christmas trees out by the road, but whatever. But me, I got everything still going strong. I got my lights behind me. I would have worn the hat, but I didn't feel like it. And I'm just enjoying I guess we call it the spoils of Christmas. Is that what you call it? Like, the after Christmas and all, the kids have all the presents and they're playing with them and making a mess out of the house and you're trying to keep it under control, but then you step on a Lego, then you fall on your face because it hurts so bad. We're in that season right now. So this is the fun season. So be sure to do the straw poll if you have not done so yet. Got a great straw poll about distributions, which was the most enjoyable. And I do enjoy the fact that you are a cheeky monkey there, Eris, on your straw poll. So on the docket for today, we're going to talk about that straw poll, look at the distributions in review. If there's little time, we'll fill it in with some other nonsense, do some housekeeping, last call. But first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? Colin, you just released a video, I guess. So you did a video, you didn't release it, but now you finally released it.
Yeah. I recorded it, I think, early December, and just didn't have the time to edit the thing. So I think I uploaded that, was it yesterday or the day before? Can't remember. And got quite a little bit of attention, which is good. It's Lubuntu 23.10. I do keep an eye on Lubuntu. I have been since it changed from LXDE to LXQT. It just interests me quite a fair bit. The lightweight side of things. I actually have put it on a laptop, trying it out. Works quite quick. So I'm pretty impressed with it there. Just always like to, if I can, try out real hardware, just, to make sure that it's doing what it does on a VM as well. So there's a lot of people have made mention in the YouTube comments about I think Johan was one of them. He said he didn't like it because there's no dark theme, but Simon quickly said he's working on a dark theme. So that would be good. I think you can do dark theme, but in the appearance, you've got to change the palette colors and all that. So it's very hard to sort of get something that looks balanced out across the system. So, it's not something that comes out naturally.
So you can make it do a dark theme, because that's how I ran it. But there were some issues with it, like where some applications just kind of looked a little bit ropey, a little wonky. So I think, it doesn't integrate all that well as if it was done by the developers themselves. So it's good to know that he is working on a dark theme, because I think a lot of people go for the dark theme these days. But I have to say, I'm impressed. I did talk to Simon when he was on here the other week and told him that everything was looking good. The only thing I wasn't overly impressed with was Discover. That was having search issues, so I don't know what's going on there, but he did say it was something that they're working on, so that's good to know. So it's I get hung up on things when I make videos, and I tend not to quit on things, and I continue to sometimes it can look like a continuous loop in my videos. It look like I'm on repeat, but if something bothers me, I continue to go at it till I can find something that works. So yeah, that was quite a good little video to make, and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed editing it because when you film something or you record something and then you edit it a few weeks later, it's just like revisiting the whole thing again. So it was a bit bizarre, but yeah, it was quite good.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah,
I do enjoy your videos.
it's looking good.
I don't always comment,
Thank you.
but I always thumbs up and I always enjoy them. So
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
I remember doing Lubuntu this year. I think we did it in November 25th. I think is when we did it. And I really enjoyed Lubuntu.
Yep.
I think we had Simon on and everything, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dan's a really nice guy, and he's involved in Lubuntu as well. And I think they've really done a lot of work on Lubuntu. And I even got some comments about people who used to use the Lubuntu when it was LXQT, not LXQT, LXDE. And they stopped using it once it went over to LXQT because a lot of things broke, which is understandable.
Sure.
It's a big job changing from LXDE to LXQT. So they've been working hard at it over, I have to think, a few years, and it's coming along quite nicely. So it's good to see those guys having a bit of success.
Yeah, that's pretty great, for sure. And I hope they continue to have great success. So
yeah,
because I think it's a great distribution. It installed very quickly. It ran very well. I think it definitely would run well on maybe some, how would you put it, some CPU challenged hardware. I don't know if that'd
be like this potato thing here, this Lenovo. What is it? So this Lenovo, let me see what it is. IdeaPad 110. So it does, when you open your file manager in that, it just opens just instantly, right? It's just like that, which is, kind of good when you're on an old computer like this. But then you go to YouTube. Now, YouTube, I don't know. I heard that Google slowed Firefox down on YouTube. Is this true? Does anyone know anything about that? Or is that a true statement, or is it just something that somebody was talking about? But could be true.
So I've heard that before, but I honestly have better results with Firefox with almost everything, to include YouTube, than I do the Chrome
Fair enough.
derivatives. So, but that could be because of the extensions I put, like the ad blocking and everything else. So maybe it just works better because of that reason.
Yeah.
But
I think Brody made a video about it, and he says that there's no way to actually know that that's something against Firefox. You can get this with, like, I think he said even with a Chromium based browser that's not Chrome. So it's like a tester doing or something. But he says that there's no way that for sure you can say that they're slowing it down on purpose.
Right. Okay.
That's what his takeaway was.
So the one thing that Firefox to do that Chromium will not do, which is why I don't use Chromium for things like watching YouTube videos, is you can pop out the video itself and you can put it like in the corner, and it is the neatest feature that Firefox has introduced ever. And because of that, I just think that, I mean, Firefox has had it now for several years, and I don't know where Chrome is at on that. They've just at the sleep of the wheel as far as I'm concerned. So I just don't, it just doesn't function as well for my purposes. Maybe it's great, but for me and my computer, I serve milk and cookies. So
I think YouTube's always going to be slow on laptops like that. And anyway, I think it depends. I use wireless most of the time as well, so it might depend on my wireless speed as well. There's so many variables when it comes to testing those sorts of things. It's hard to tell how fast it works when you got different, wireless. If you're on wired internet, it could be a completely different story, I suppose. So, yeah.
I don't know.
So, but Lubuntu definitely works well on that computer, and it's fast. So that's good.
That's good. That's great. And I'm sorry, what were the specs of that? Was Lenovo? What was the CPU?
IdeaPad 110.
Okay. Oh, I think I have an IdeaPad, but it's like got a Celeron, 2 gig of RAM. It's basically a throwaway computer that I've.
Yeah. I don't know what the actual specs are, to be honest. I'd have to start it up and have a look. I don't have that in memory, to be honest. But it's my brother's got exactly the same computer. And last time I went over east, a few thousand Ks, I put Peppermint on his one because Peppermint's sort of like a continuous update. So just all he has to do is update it, and he doesn't have to reinstall because I don't see him that often. So seems to be running okay for him so far. So that's good.
Oh, that's very good.
Horses for courses.
Is that an Australian thing?
Yeah, horses for courses. So you choose the right horse for the for the day or for
yeah.
how heavy the you know what I mean. So it's choose your right Linux for the computer, pretty
like
much.
Right tool for the right job. It's
pretty much.
Thing,
yeah.
Well, very cool.
I think while we're on the subject, I just think I'm looking forward to having a look at Lubuntu 24.04 because I think that's going to be a pretty good release. I think.
Well, very cool. So now this is not in the show notes, so I apologize to Eris for this because I'm sure he's going to be annoyed. But I'm just as I'm thinking, it's kind of like we're here. Did Santa bring anybody any cool tech toys this year? And by Santa, I mean, did you buy yourself something, or did somebody give you anything? No.
No.
Actually, I got a new 3D printer in.
Oh,
So.
3D printer.
Fantastic!
Yep.
What and it is a what?
It is a Solo S5 SV05, which is basically an upgraded Ender 5. So it has a direct drive extruder, a CR Touch leveling sensor,
Okay,
that sort of thing. So
very nice. What's the build plate volume? Like how do you have any
it
millimeters?
has a 235 millimeter
Okay.
square build plate, but the specs say it only goes to 220 square on the build plate.
Okay.
So I'll find out when I start it up. I'm just in the process of building it now.
Oh, very fun.
And for the Z, I think it's somewhere around 250, 300, somewhere around there. I'd have to look up the exact spec, but
Well, 3D printers
it kind
are
of
fun.
depends on. Yeah, it kind of depends on if I might be able to like move some of the limit switches around, that sort of thing, to get a larger volume. So we'll find out.
It might be able to. I wanted to move the limit switch today on my printer because when I put a different print head on, it's slightly offset, so I want to offset the switch, but I couldn't actually do that because it was actually beyond the bed travel, and anyway, so it's just I got to figure out another way to fix that. But I did print off a thing that just came off the printer a little bit ago. This is gonna go by the Wii U in the house, so it's actually I can hang the Wiimotes with the little bumpers on it.
Oh, that's
So
a good
nice.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't my idea. Someone else came up with it. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about that.
So that would be your Wii gang.
Yes. Exactly. I like that. Well, very cool. I don't know if anybody else. So I got a package came in from somewhere from Colin's neighborhood actually. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and Santa Retro Claus brought it. It's a you may have seen these out there, but it's from the High Nibble. It is a AMSI 8080 replica, and I don't know if you know what that is. It's a computer from like 1975, basically, but it runs on an ESP32. But it's built by a guy in Australia, so the shipping was a bit crazy, but I'm really excited to put it together. So it'll be quite the soldering project, and it's a neat thing. What am I gonna do with it? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to putting it together. So that's what Santa Retro Claus brought me.
Retro Claus.
Yeah.
Hey Nate, I'm kind of curious. Have you ever watched a YouTube channel called Usagi Electric?
Yes. I
Okay.
have. Yep. And that guy, I really enjoy that guy. His enthusiasm is just fantastic. And then also I like how over time his hair and beard grow. Like I think he shaves it like between projects, like because he has like multi-part and or cuts his hair and beard. And so he looks like a different person somewhat frequently. It's like, who's this guy? So anyway, yeah, no, that's a great. Did you see his when he took apart the giant hard drive thing platter? Did you see any of that?
The drum,
Yeah,
the drum one that we was
the
just
drum
working
one.
on. Yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was crazy.
it's really amazing just on the history level of what he's preserving.
Oh
It's-
yeah,
it is such a part of our past that is going away, literally, because these things break down, and who's around to fix them? Well, apparently, like just a handful of guys.
that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like really like a lot of technology. Really, it's if you think about it, there are some things that have faded away. There's an ad I kept getting on YouTube about like something like the old ways, like how to make lard because it's a great way to preserve things, and all these like old ways that they used to do and make food and be able to be sustainable. When there's a lack of resources, and I kept getting. Maybe my tinfoil hat was somehow YouTube was picking up on that. But anyway, so I thought it was really interesting because like this old man probably who lived in the 1800s put together a book that you can buy that illustrates how to do all these things that have been lost, with modern technology and whatnot. So anyway, it was yeah, I think it's like a lot of things, old. Maybe not so much cars, because have cars really changed that much?
I'd say they've changed a lot.
I think they changed a lot.
But they're not easier to work on now.
No, they got worse.
Right.
They
so,
got tighter.
yeah, you have to have
They're
more
very
they-
there's not a lot of
They got
space sometimes in them.
proprietary.
yeah,
Right.
you got to take it in for software updates.
Are you talking cars?
Yeah.
You're talking cars?
But I'm just like a lot of things, like old.
Yeah.
So like steam engines. How many people still know how to do steam engines? I mean, there's a steam engine museum near me, like in Northwest Indiana, and that's pretty cool. But you're talking about a handful of people preserving old technology there, and I'm sure someone's screaming about the fuels used to run them too. So anyway,
They just connect it to a computer and make a few little changes, don't they? And then it's all tuned.
exactly. Yep. They do updates.
Who knows how they do things?
Yeah,
They do updates. That's right.
I think once hybrids came about, and that was a big change. Now people have plug-in hybrids, and they have EVs, and now EVs have over-the-air updates. So there's a lot of complexity now to the cars that there wasn't before.
But I'm saying
But-
it's
but-
it's
But
more
like a
difficult to work
gas
on.
car should be the same, essentially.
Yeah, it's the same basic technology that has existed for a while. A diesel engine hasn't changed too much.
Well, from what I hear, EVs are not doing too well. That's what I hear.
I think EVs that are not
think-
Tesla are. That's true.
Yep, that's correct. Ford and Holden are probably going to pull the pin on those because people can't travel the same distance as a combustible engine. So why would they spend a lot more money on an EV, which probably will cost you a lot more money to change batteries in the future as well?
Well, I'm sure.
It's just not worth anyone's while, is it?
I think the plug-in hybrids are probably a good target. I think for now.
There's a thing called travel anxiety. People don't know whether they're going to get far enough to be able to charge their car. I mean, you can't charge your car as quick as you can put gas in it, right? Or fuel.
Right.
What I mean though is I have a plug-in hybrid, so I put gas in it, but also for short trips I don't use fuel hardly at all unless it's cold out.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
And I think it's a good balance because I have the advantages of gasoline and disadvantages, but then I have regenerative braking, so as I hit the brakes, the energy, instead of just tearing up these pads, are being turned back into energy that you can then utilize to do whatever. So that actually,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
it's amazing how much more efficient a hybrid electric minivan is than its non-hybrid counterparts. So
why don't they put solar panels on the roof? I mean, the roof is a useless thing that just sits there and just gets hot from the sun. Why don't they? Why don't they put solar panels on the roof of a car and it's continuously charged as you're driving?
I think
make the car
Why
heavier.
can't we do?
well, even if you do like the lighter panels, even if you do like the best case scenario, you'd have like 2, maybe 300 watts that you could pull off the top of your vehicle, and then you have to add that additional circuitry, the weight of that, and then the panels you can have flexible, so that wouldn't be too big of a deal. But then I think for me, I'm thinking more like when it's sitting in a parking lot for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Even if you got like, let's say 5 miles or whatever, maybe 3 miles, that's better than 0. But maybe just the cost benefit analysis isn't quite there yet.
I think it would raise the cost. It would make the car heavier, since you have batteries. Let's say like an EV or a plug-in hybrid, that puts a lot of weight to the car, and the more weight you add to the car, the less efficient it's going to be.
Sure.
And you're going to add solar panels to it.
But I don't think you want too light a car, though, do you? You don't really want too light a car either, do you? Because that probably makes it a bit unsafe because it doesn't have a lot of.
It has to pass like regulations of like safety.
Yeah. It's gotta
There was
have
actually
certain-
an interesting set of videos by Connection Extras.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
And he talked about his car, the Chevy Volt, and it's a car that it's a plug-in hybrid technically, but you can run the car just electrically, and you would have a gas tank in case you were ever to run out of battery. You could just the engine will kick in, and then you can use the gas part, and you can drive around with just the gas part all the time. So you have all these options, but I think the car didn't sell enough, and I think it has been discontinued. I think, 2019. I think it got discontinued.
Yeah, that's essentially what I have as far in a minivan. So,
I think electric cars will be probably good if they can have an electric car that can charge without using fossil fuel. Otherwise, you pretty much to me it's pointless.
oh, well,
It's not changing anything, is it?
so the thing is, like with the grid right now, this has nothing to do with Linux, but the status of the grid right now, we can't afford to move vehicles to electric with the available power on the grid right now. So it's not like it's even possible, really. So,
Okay.
but like I think if we do a slow march, a slow steady transition in that direction, that'll probably make sense. But I think forcing it's probably a huge mistake. So I think it's got to be a little more, But I think it's. I mean, I put it.
Linux is in electric cars, aren't they? Is it
Sure
Linux
it
in
is.
electric
Actually,
cars?
I have
there we
Linux
go.
on my infotainment in my van. So
there we go.
because I've seen it crash a few times, so I knew that I saw the Linux ping. So,
anyway, I digress from Linux, to be honest. So
no, it's fine. It's
just an
technology.
interesting conversation. Yeah.
Linux tech and open source related. I think that falls under tech. But yes,
Yeah, okay.
back to what Sean said, to loop it back, the knowledge for, these old machines and keeping them running. Yes, that's very much fading away. And I think things like YouTube and people who have the wherewithal, the desire, and the willingness to share it, the repairing, so that there's at least some documentation out there now because of him and his work. So, they can be either replicated or still continue to be maintained. Now, Sean, have you actually been to like a vintage computer fest and seen some of these old things in action? Or maybe lived through it, I guess. Maybe.
I have not, unfortunately. I'd love to at some point, but
So the Vintage Computer Fest Midwest in a Chicagoland area, I went there the last couple of years, and they have some amazingly cool old computers, like ticker tape stuff, and my kids thought it was so fascinating, and they they were so excited when the guy gave them some of the ticker, like the punch tape to my
The
kids. Yeah, they thought that was just the greatest thing. And
It's got cotton in it.
yeah,
It's really strong.
and it's got like some, it kind of has an oily feel to it also. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Almost like a
kinda
machine
strange.
oil. Yeah. But anyway, so my kids thought it was just amazing. The electromechanical, you know, the mechanical and the electrical kind of where they're fusing that transitionary period of technology. I think that's an amazing time. And I hope people still, actually, you know what? I was amazed by just the sheer number of young people at the Vintage Computer Fest too. Like there was just a lot of kids. By kids, I mean, you know, younger than me. So anyway, my mic is falling. That's all right. End of year. I'll fix it next year. All right. So if you have not done that straw poll yet, be sure to do so. It has to do with the distributions of 2023 that we checked out in here in the Linux Saloon. So I guess, Eris, the floor is yours, such as it is.
Let me refresh one last time.
Yeah, I gotta open it up so I can follow along. I like following along.
So the question was, which distro exploration from this year did you enjoy the most? And the number one answer was MX Linux.
Not
with
surprised.
27% of the vote. Number two was Tux Penguin with 18%.
Well, golly.
Number three was Other. They're 14%. Followed by Lubuntu, 9%. Linux Mint, 9%. CentOS Stream, 5%. Gecko Linux, 5%. Fedora, 5%. Debian, Solus, also 5%. There were no votes for Archcraft, Ubuntu Unity, or Rhino Linux.
Well, that kind of surprises me.
Yeah.
Solus is the way.
And I did get a few replies. First reply was voted Other and didn't see an option to fill in. I've been on Kitty Neon all year, but I'll be switching soon, but not in time for it to count for the year. And then somebody else said, voted Other as well. NixOS all year, every year. So someone comes up with a distro with better capabilities, like something better than rollback abilities, seamless upgrades without hosting your system, which in my opinion, which in my honest opinion, Linux should have from the very beginning.
I think that's fair-ish. Except
I chose. Sorry, Nate.
No, go ahead.
I chose Tux Penguin because I just found it too hard to actually choose one distro, because I think they're all good in their own right. And, you know, we were talking about this just before we came on live. And there's so many good distros out there now. I think it just really depends on the base that you want to go with, or, you know, or the distro itself, and whether you like the maintainers and what they do with the distro and all those sorts of things. Because we do have all these flat packs and snaps and app images and all these things that we don't have to worry about what they're packaging anymore. I think that's taken away an equation, and you just might like the way certain developers and distros do their thing with their own Linux distro. You know, all the packaging and dependency nightmare is not as much of a influence as what it used to be. So that's why I chose Tux Penguin, because there's just, you know, there's so many good distros out there now. I'll always, if I put somebody on Linux for the first time, it will always be Linux Mint, because they are just consistent. But besides that, they're all not too bad. We were even talking about Debian, weren't we? I mean, the release of Debian was probably one of the best releases of Debian for a very long time. So they're right up there as far as packages are concerned as well. So that's going to hold people over for a couple of years, especially people with new laptops and desktops as well. So yeah, that was a good release. So that's my 2 cents worth. But I think That's why I found it difficult to choose one.
I think that you chose the very meaning of why someone would choose Tux Penguin. I don't know. That's kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Pretty
But yeah,
much.
So Ron actually asked this in YouTube chat. He said, "What does Tux Penguin mean?" And I just said, "It's a vote that doesn't vote." Some people add it to straw polls as like for people that don't like all the options or just for fun. It's just an extra vote. If you ever seen um the WAN show, I think they add turnip as one of the options.
I haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, I think that's why I like it. I think it also makes me laugh every time someone votes for it. I laugh. I don't know why. So it's a sense of amusement for me. But I think for me,
What, the Tux Penguin or the
the Tux
turnip
Penguin.
you talking about?
Well, turnip is funny
Oh, Tux
too,
Penguin.
but I think Tux Penguin is funnier for us.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a lot of like I really enjoyed a lot of these distributions. Like for me, it was hard to choose, so I voted twice. Anyway, you know what they say, vote early, vote often. But yeah, like for instance, I really enjoyed, of course, Gecko Linux because it's OpenSUSE based. But like, who didn't get some votes? I really had fun with Unity, and I had a lot of fun with Rhino Linux as well. It was enjoyable for me to play in Unity, like it felt a little 2018ish. So it was kind of, I don't know, it was just a good time. You know what I mean? It was just fun. So anyway, I guess with that we should just go ahead and do the distributions in review, because I guess we just sort of are falling into it as it is. So in the beginning of the year, we did Gecko Linux in January, and it's OpenSUSE based. Oh, by the way, I should back up here. So the intent of doing these distribution reviews, just because, one, we take all these notes and we look at these things and I pour over it later on, and then I feel like I just want to talk about it again because, I think we had so much fun doing it. At least I had fun doing it. Maybe I'm the only one. But, and I'd like to just talk about it again. So with that, Gecko Linux is the first one that we started. First distribution of the year that we started with. And that is it's a set of Linux spins built from the OpenSUSE distribution with a focus on polish and out-of-the-box usability on the distribution. So, and it's available in static and rolling as well. And there was some, as a consequence of things changing with OpenSUSE Leap, I think we also learned of another, the same developer is doing a spin of Debian in the same vein. So that's pretty cool too. I can't remember what it was called offhand.
Spiral Linux.
A Spiral Linux, yeah, that's
okay.
right.
And anyway, so I thought it was enjoyable. It was easy to install. An easier way to install OpenSUSE than the standard, because I use the Calamares installer, I believe. And it was, I think people for the most part had a pretty decent time with it. But they have Cinnamon, XFCE, GNOME, Plasma, Mate, Budgie, LXQt, a bare bones image. They also have Pantheon in the rolling. So anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not sure if anybody still running anything around that? Like, is anybody still running Gecko, I guess, or something thereof? I'm running OpenSUSE, so I kind of am. But that was kind of the question.
What's nice about Spiral and Gecko Linux is that it's not a fork, so you don't have to worry about maybe they add something to the repos, maybe there can be incompatibility. The dev uses nothing but the repos themselves that are default, and just change the settings. So you're pretty much just using upstream projects. You're using OpenSUSE, you're using Debian, but just with different configurations that hopefully make things better.
Right. Yeah, it's just a config file essentially, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's a neat way of doing it. I think it's kind of like Endeavor OS is to Arch. I think.
I think that's a good comparison.
So I don't have a specific on this machine. I might have it on another machine, like my last laptop, but I think I ran the Pantheon one, I believe. I think that actually worked. That was actually pretty nice, the Pantheon version. It actually might be my favorite iteration of Pantheon. Yeah, not in this machine either. Oh well. So the next distro we did in February was CentOS. CentOS Stream, I should say, specifically. And that was, CentOS is almost, I don't know, does it live in infamy now? Is that something that we say because of its storied history? I don't know. But it's a Linux distribution where open source community members can develop, test, and contribute to a continuously delivered distribution upstream for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and all in tandem with Red Hat developers. So it's a community and corporate run distribution, which I guess is a little bit like OpenSUSE in a way. So when you CentOS Stream, you benefit from gaining early access to the same source code Red Hat developers and engineers use to produce the next version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The platform provides continuous stream of content, making CentOS Stream a preview of future Red Hat Enterprise Linux releases. So CentOS Stream code becomes the next minor release of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and so forth. So I think even after this discussion, I think I had a hard time figuring out where Fedora and CentOS and Red Hat, how they all interplay together.
It's Fedora, and then Fedora goes into CentOS Stream, and then CentOS Stream becomes Red Hat. So
Okay.
you're getting like in between them, and it gets like updates. So eventually, like the next point release you're getting beforehand, Rail gets it. If that makes sense. And then
Yeah.
of course the Red Hat team will add other stuff, but for the most part, it's like you're basically getting Red Hat Enterprise Linux ahead of time before the team has done all the Q&A and everything. So hopefully that people can catch mistakes or like anything that needs to be tightened up or something before the actual release for Red Hat.
And also apparently by making it a continuously developed distribution, you made a lot of people angry because that's what Red Hat likes to do, I guess. It
was a big selling point that before there was no way to contribute to Red Hat for the most part if you were like in using CentOS, because you were using like the end point, and there wasn't a nice way to contribute beforehand. So this is the way they want you to contribute to Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
Mhm.
You can use Stream and then like get ahead of where Red Hat's going. Because if Fedora is so much further ahead, I don't know what the delay is between Fedora becoming Red Hat, but it's a lot. So something it's going to be a long time before it goes into Red Hat. But this is much closer, of course, to Red Hat.
Right. Anyway, I thought to me it seemed like, I wasn't someone that used or relied on CentOS, so it didn't really affect me in that regard. But it did seem like that was a great way to pull in more people to be a part of the process as opposed to not. So, but I just know that whatever Red Hat does, they make people angry. I think that's just kind of just how people respond. And Ubuntu, I guess whatever they do too, people get angry. I don't think anybody cares about SUSE, except for me. Did anybody still have a VM or something of CentOS lying around? Yeah, I don't either. All right, the next distribution that we checked out, we kicked the tires on, was Archcraft in March. So Archcraft, I forget who recommended Archcraft. Somebody did. But it's a minimal distro based on Arch Linux. It uses OpenBox Data Manager and light applications in order to provide a super fast experience. It comes with, I remember this, BSPWM and I don't think I ever used that. Under 500 megabytes of memory, that's how it runs under 500 megabytes. It runs in under 500 megabytes of memory. Flat pastel colors and consistency among all UI elements, built in support for AUR. And it does provide premium versions of Archcraft in order to fulfill financial needs. These special versions include River, BSPWM, New M, NEWM, Hyperland, and Wayfire Desktop. Devs can also be hired to create custom tailor-made distros according to your needs. Oh, that was actually the really unique thing about it, was the fact that you could, if you needed some special tailored distribution, you could hire the devs to actually spin something up. And that was pretty cool.
Archcraft was recommended by Explorer to be a distro exploration.
But yeah, that's actually definitely a really neat. That was actually the one thing that did stick out to me, was the fact that you could, if you needed something specific, you could have it built. So that's a neat way to monetize yourself. So I remember I liked the dark theme that they had, but I did find the dock at the bottom a little bit frustrating. So anyway. And also the fact that they used, I don't know if it's still now, but they left the default file system was ext4, which seems like you kind of have yourself kind of without a safety harness, when doing your Arch updates. So I don't know. But anyway, is anybody here running Arch on the regular? Colin is running Arch. What file system do you use, or how do you manage?
ext4.
Okay, and
ext4.
Do you use like some sort of snapshotting tool? Like what's the backend? The backend.
I use free file sync. I use free. So I had two hard drives in my system here. One was the system. One was the data.
Mm-hmm.
I now have that in this thing here at the moment,
okay.
Which is an M.2 caddy. Because I'm trying out two different systems at the moment, but I normally free file sync that onto here. So I've got two copies.
Okay. Everyone
says you need three, but I haven't done that sync for a little while because I haven't put that back into the computer. So, but I can tell you now that I've been using Arch for quite a long time. I've just reinstalled it with the KDE desktop because I was using GNOME, but KDE was put on a fresh hard drive. But I just update. That's all I do. And if I'm unlucky, something's gone wrong, I'll have to reinstall. But, I've never really had any problems, to be honest. There's only one problem I knew about, and I didn't update for about 3 weeks just to avoid it, and got around it because I heard about it. But I haven't really had any issues at all. And that's running for like 2-3 years.
Do you still make your own ISO?
Yeah, I make my own ISOs from Easy Archer, and I've just done a Cinnamon build. I'm keen to go back to Cinnamon. I think Cinnamon's just a good balance between KDE and GNOME. Just offers that in between. I think it's not underwhelming and it's not overwhelming. It's just got everything you need and not too much. And but I haven't really reinstalled that because then I've got to set everything back up again. So I don't know what to do with that build at the moment. But Arch.
What was that nursery rhyme?
Sorry?
Porridge is too hot, porridge is too cold, porridge is just right.
Yeah, that's the Three Bears, Goldie.
The Three Bears.
Three Bears.
Yep, there we go. So Colin locks in his three desktop environments.
But I really haven't had any issues with Arch. It seems to just update and it just works. So maybe I'm just lucky for the last couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if it's working for you. So I in the chat, the Tux Digital troll, Dark One says he uses Garuda, and
yes, that's right, he does too.
Yeah, he likes that, and then he also did like to say that I run Arch, by the way, and I had to say no, it's SteamOS.
Oh, look, I am in no way an expert on Arch, right? I mean, every time I've got a problem, I've got to go to the newbie corner. Whenever there's a problem in Arch, if you have to look up a problem, you're a newbie, right?
Right.
Even though it's the same on any distro, isn't it? On Windows or whatever, if there's a problem, you have to go looking for an answer, right? But Arch is always a newbie corner. Amazes me. But I've been working on that the PC YAD thing that I'm doing, and I've got all these things that are going to help me just use Arch without having to think about looking up. I mean, I can't remember all the commands and whatever, so it just helps me do all that stuff. So
Right. Makes total sense.
I'm trying to make my life easier.
Yeah, as long as you're having fun, I think that's the big thing. And then
I'm having a lot of fun doing that.
And Dark One, he also says Nate hears anything about Arch and his brain automatically shuts off, and that is not true. It doesn't shut off; it goes into suspend. So there's a difference. It's a different power state.
Is that why you have a lot of memory? Because you use suspend a lot, or?
Well, it's actually a lot of things get corrupted and have to be dumped. So just so I don't have a kernel panic. But so one here is using Arch. I'm not using Arch, Dark One. I'm using SteamOS, and that's for one device. It's an appliance. It's not. I don't think it's a game console as far as I'm concerned. That just happens to run Linux and does Linuxy things. But he wouldn't know. He probably he runs Windows, I think. Anyway, anything else on Arch? Does anyone have anyone to put out there in Archcraft or maybe some anecdotal stories? No, nothing. Ron?
I do want to look at there's another one called Arch Linux GUI, I think it is, or can't remember what it's called. Arch Linux GUI, I think it is.
Like installing Arch
and
with
they
the GUI?
give. I think they install the GUI. So if because Easy Archer doesn't do GNOME anymore. I used to use GNOME a lot, so I had to go to KDE because of that. Because it must be a lot of work for him to keep up with that stuff. But Arch Linux GUI is another option, which is the reason why I made YAD. So if I go away from that, I can just install and use my YAD to get everything up and running real quick. So I haven't tried that yet, but it's something I've got on my radar for sure.
All right, the next distribution that we took for a run. Oh, by the way, actually, before I go to that, so are you saying we should put that on the list for next year, Colin?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, Arch Linux GUI?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. I mean, I just thought I'd throw it out there, but it doesn't have to be. But just thought I'd bring it up.
I think each year we should do at least one Arch-based something. At least one. I think that'd be good. Just to remember what, for me, just remind myself why I don't use Arch. So.
Oh, look, I like the GUI things. I like the GUI installer. I don't want to install Arch the Arch way because I just can't be bothered with that stuff, right? So I just like anything. That's why I'd spin my own Arch Linux from Easy Archer because it uses Calamares. It's easy to install, and that's the way I like to do it.
No, I
just
totally
putting it out there.
I like how Colin says he's a newbie and he creates his own ISO for Arch.
I know.
But Esnix gives me all the tools to do that. So you do have to work a certain amount of things out. But I mean, still, if I wanted to install Arch, I'd have to probably take out my data drive so I don't go and accidentally install Arch on the wrong drive, right? That's the only thing. Even with Debian, I don't like to do that. I'd rather use Calamares, which Debian offers now. So I like Calamares. It's a good. It's become a good universal installer, so I think it's good.
So LQ Larry says, directing it toward you, it's actually called ALG Arch sort of frowns and using Arch in its name.
Oh.
So, but only sort of frowns.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think
they contact
why
people. I think they contact people. They contacted.
Is that right?
I think Arco. That's why they changed it to Arco at one point.
Oh, right. That's why they changed that to ALG. I think it's called ALG, so it doesn't have that. It's just a acronym. Yeah. that
They
could
want to
be
save like the
reason why.
trademark. I don't know if they have a trademark, but at least the name itself, they don't want anything called Arch.
Right.
If it's even if it's based on Arch, because they're the ones who control Arch.
Well, it's their project. Whatever, I guess.
Yeah. That's fair, I suppose.
It's like the kid in the sandbox gets angry and throws sand in your eyes when you get too close to a sandcastle. Anyway, all right. Well, I think we should try that out. ALG. I have to make sure I remember to put that on a list somewhere. Let's see, up right here. Try ALG next year. All right. Then you all heard my internal monologue. All right. So the next distribution that we took for a spin around the block was Linux Mint. And I saw, Ron, did you put something about Linux Mint? I saw I put something in the chat about Linux Mint. Was that you like LMDE 6?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the latest one or second to latest a version that they brought out. I can't remember if it was 21.1 that was before or after LMD6, but I haven't tried 21 yet. But the LMDA6 is what I tried. Very slick, very smooth. Works on old machines, newer machines, well, 3-year-old machines. And I'm a bit of an XFC fanboy, so I tried swapping out the desktops, and the theming was pretty horrible trying to accomplish it. But Tom at Switch to Linux did a pretty good video on that, and it worked quite well. So I can get all of my Debian-centric features that I really, really appreciate on a day-to-day, and get the desktops I want that's fully themed. So yeah, very
Very cool.
positive experience.
Well, it's excellent. It's always good when you have a distribution that feels good, fits just right.
Yeah, and it seems,
Doesn't
I don't
cause
know if
chafing.
I'm not a tech head on this kind of thing, but it seems like the way they structured the build of LMD, you can remove cleanly an entire desktop, like totally rip it out, and put a new one in. Well, put the new one in first before you rip out the old, and just boot into the new desktop and rip out every bit of libraries or whatever else for the old, and still runs quite nicely. And there's no conflicts. There's no blue screen of death equivalents. So yeah,
Well,
I was quite surprised.
you're certainly not alone. Ann Rita says Linux Mint is like an old pair of slippers that just fit. Now, I've also found that old pair of slippers also sometimes stink. So there's also that, Anna.
Yeah, and if you have pronated ankles, yeah, all slippers, no.
Right. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah. You need to have the right proper support there so you don't cause ankle and knee pain, right? Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so Linux Mint, we all know. I think most people know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody listening who doesn't know. That it's a community-driven Linux distribution based on Ubuntu, which is in turn based on Debian, but then there is the Debian edition of it. It's bundled with a variety of free and open source applications and can provide a full out-of-the-box multimedia support for those who choose to include proprietary software such as multimedia codecs. Compared to Ubuntu, it uses the Cinnamon interface by default, using a different, more traditional layout that can be customized by dragging the applets and creating panels. So, and then that's Colin. You said that's your bag, right? You like Cinnamon.
Yeah, I haven't used it for a while, but yes, I noticed that when I was building my latest Cinnamon build, it actually already has updated to 6 on Arch, so haven't really explored that much yet. But the one thing I've noticed with Linux Mint is I think they're trapped between the old the old GTK4 and this new libed waiter. I think even you mentioned it, Nate, the terminal had a white strip on it on a dark theme, and you can't get rid of it. And that's just sort of, at the moment, they're trapped in in those theming issues where you can't sort of theme it as good as what you used to. But I would have to say it's like 95% there, but there's just that 5% that on some applications that come up a little bit weird. But besides that, I don't know whether they're working on introducing libadwaita or how they do that. I don't know. That's not my thing really, but I don't know how that all works. But it'd be nice to see them get all that theming stuff back up again in Linux Mint, because it's nice to be able to theme it the way you want to theme it, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm sure it'll all get worked out. I mean, there was that rough transition initially with GTK 3 and then I think so I'm sure there'll be some rough patches with 4. Well, there are rough patches with 4. I'm sure they'll get sorted out. They just do. Somebody wants to fix it, and so they take some time to fix it, and and then we are all grateful for their efforts. Does anybody remember, I was just thinking about this as I was putting the show notes together. Do you remember the controversy some years back that questioned the relevance of Linux Mint as a distro? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
But there were like a lot of people just throwing a lot of shade at Linux Mint, and I thought that was kind of irritating.
So
That was saying, go on, Swift.
do you have a time period that you're talking about when people were throwing shade at Linux Mint?
I can't remember. I think
Because I remember it
was
in
the
like
before times.
2017. I'm thinking about 2017 or 2018 when the big debacle happened with the servers. Sometime around that time. Are you referring to that?
I think it was post the server issue with that when it was.
No, it was before that, I believe.
Was it before?
Mate.
Oh,
I thought I remember.
That was.
I remember reading an article on why it shouldn't exist, and then I remember someone did. I don't want to say the
I think
YouTuber name.
he made a video at one point
Who
saying
did?
that Linux Mint shouldn't exist.
Who did that?
What they were saying is they should focus on the desktop only and just distribute it as a desktop rather than have a distro itself. I think that's what the whole controversy was all about. So they were saying just focus on the Cinnamon desktop and don't worry about creating a distro. I'm pretty sure that's what it was all about.
but I mean, with that kind of reasoning, you could do that for a number of different distros. In all honesty, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
They have a base operating system. There's something they're based on. They're standing on the shoulders of other projects, and then they go to this, they go to this, they go to this, and I mean, after a while, you just have this whole collection of stuff that's just there. And so I never did understand that line of reasoning regarding one operating system versus others, but that's apparently just how people are sometimes. And sometimes
But this is what sorry, you go on.
I notice sometimes with Linux Mint, it seems that people have differences in opinion when it comes to Clem. It's like they have problems with him, because of stuff he says online or whatnot. And so they transfer that to the whole distro versus towards that individual that they may differ whatnot with. And so I've seen that peep up over the years. And people have a habit of doing that. It's almost a type of bullying from what I've seen, even with Ike and Solus. I've seen a lot of foolishness with that too. So it's just crazy.
Well, Clem is like the benevolent dictator of Mint. That is his project. And to be fair to DT, I think he made a video, I don't know, like a year ago, maybe more than that, where he praised Linux Mint about all the features that it has. So I don't know the how much time it took from the first video to the second video, but it was some years.
Yeah, I think they get criticized for actually they listen to their users. The users don't want too much change. That's the thing. That's why Linux Mint is consistent. You can go back to it. You pretty much know where most things are, and they don't make drastic changes. And I suppose that's fair enough, because when you think about a lot of people who use Windows does not change much. The paradigm pretty much stays the same. And you'd have to think a lot of people who use Linux Mint may be people who come from a lot of Windows backgrounds, maybe, and they don't like a lot of change. They do slight changes. They don't. Over the years, the the Cinnamon desktop is they've made it faster, they've made it more efficient, and they just grind at it and they just make these slow changes and make it better and better, but there's nothing ever drastic happens. And I think they don't like to scare their users off too much. I think that's what they're all about.
Yeah,
to be
that
honest.
makes sense. And I mean, and that's one of the beauties of Linux in general is just you can forge your own path or go your own way, and then if that's the way the community wants to go, then that's the way it goes. And I know there's some other things in Linux Mint. This is probably like 8 years ago or so, maybe less, maybe more. 8 years plus or minus a little bit, where apparently there was you'd always have to do like a clean install of Linux Mint because they didn't follow as closely to how Ubuntu does things. So that was kind of an annoying piece of it. But had they just followed closer to what Ubuntu did, it wouldn't be an issue. And then of course there's the little bit of controversy they've had about the rebuffing the snaps entirely and doing Flatpak. But again, if that's what if the users like it, whatever. I don't know.
It used to be that the only way to upgrade was through the command line, and you would have to wait for Clem to provide the instructions for it. And recently they've done the GUI now, so there should be a way to upgrade now just with the GUI. We just have to wait for the update to be enabled, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the edit preferences, I believe, in the software center. I think edit preferences or something like that, and there'll be an upgrade waiting, and you just click on it and it'll do it. But I also believe that they not only have they got an in-place upgrade for the version that they're on, but they've now introduced an upgrade to go to the next version. So they're on 21 at the moment. You used to be only able to upgrade from 21.1.2.3, but now I believe you can go from 21.3 to 22, I think, or whatever. I think they've done that now as well. So that's made it upgrading a little bit easier.
That's really good to hear, because I remember the days using Linux Mint for many years and just having to do that what's that called? The pave and
that's right.
And I come to realize that how much I hated doing that. And so that's one thing that makes me real happy that they made that adjustment over the years.
I'm still pretty leery about doing release to release updates. I don't know. Maybe it's for my Windows years, 30 plus years. I keep my home partition on a separate drive. So whenever I need to do an OS update or an OS reload, whatever the case may be, it becomes easier. And I still to this day nuke and pave in a big way. Yeah. It doesn't take terribly long.
I honestly think that sometimes with these in-place upgrades from a main version to a main version can get a little bit, some things can get a little bit strange.
Yeah.
And
especially
I've found
the foreign packages.
Yeah, that's right. And I think sometimes it's easiest just to have a fresh install, but fresh install just means you've got to start all over again. And not everyone's keen on that, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's the only issue, but
the only time I do a fresh install is when I change hardware. So if it's a hard drive or a whole computer, that's when I change. That's when I do fresh installs. Or if I did something that's so catastrophic that the whole thing has just got to go, which does happen from time to time.
Very few and far between though these days, Nate, I must say.
Yeah, I think I might have to do something with my server because I don't like how it's behaving. But I think maybe it could be hardware related, not just software related. It's still doing its job, but I think it's time for me to. I think 2024 is going to mean new hardware for my server. So I guess that's nuke and paving, right? Or is that smashing and building new? I don't know what to call that.
Laying new bricks.
Laying new bricks.
New bricks. There we go.
I like that. Because nuke and pave, that's a very there's a lot of force in that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing we say around here a lot. I don't know
Yeah.
why that is.
Yeah, it's because it's a drastic measure, wiping
Very.
everything, and yeah. But there's a point in time when I would do reinstalls on the same machine, several times because either I had to or I wanted to. Now I think I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over
it's
time,
nice to have everything set up and not have to worry too much about it again, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to the point. I'm late. I mean, you can call it lazy, burnt out, or whatever. There's certain things I don't feel like doing anymore when it comes to my machine. So I just like to set it,
Yeah.
update it each week. Boom, I'm good to go.
So
Well, sorry, Nate, but that's what a sane user pretty much does, isn't it? They just go on their computer and they use it. We're a little bit out of the ordinary here, I must say, in some cases.
Now, there's certain machines I don't mind. For example, having Debian on or Linksmith or something.
Yeah.
I don't mind that, but it's nice. Yeah, I'll say that I like having the best of both worlds. I'll go that route. Even when it comes to operating systems, I like having that as well.
So now Vince put me on the spot. What is the longest longest install I have for a system?
Tumbleweed.
For a Tumbleweed system. So I was gonna say my server at 2019, but actually I think that's incorrect. I think I actually have it. It's 2017 or 18, and I got to see. I think.
You run a rolling release server?
Yeah. I know you're not supposed to do that.
Nate lives on the edge.
So I have the same install since March of 2018 on my Dell Latitude E6440.
And before we started live, you were talking about possibly, what was it? Debian, was it?
Yeah, on a server, on a VM, a bunch of
Yeah,
a couple
you're
Debian
talking about
VMs.
trying Debian, yeah?
No, they are Debian, and I want to move them to Debian 12.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I got a test VM right now.
Oh, that's right.
Of Debian 12, but there's a lot of things like the changing in PHP versions and a bunch of other stuff that I'm a little concerned about. But I think it'll be fine. I think I just gotta, put on my big boy pants and just get it done. That's what I think I gotta do. All right, so the next distribution that we checked out in June of this year, 2023, is MX Linux, and that was the most popular on the straw poll. And so I know that Jinda, you are an MX Linux user on the reg, right? And anybody else here using MX Linux on the regular? No, nothing. Okay. Yeah, but so MX Linux, I think, is one of the greats that we get to play with, and also, Delphin Oracle comes and visits us from time to time when he comes down high atop Mount Olympus to hang out with us plebs for a bit. But the MX Linux, a little history on it, look quick. It traces its lineage back to the 1990s with the Mepis project. And when Mepis decided to discontinue the Linux OS development, MX was born with the help of the Antix project, another Mepis descendant. So it's next year. So MX isn't quite 10 years old yet. This year, it's the 20th anniversary of the original Mepis release was this year. So, anyway, I think that's pretty interesting that it's been around that long. So it's actually one of the, I guess you could almost say it's kind of one of the OGs, sort of, based on the fact that it's built off Mepis, and same people been a part of it for a long time. So that's pretty cool. And I think the current release is 23. 23.1. Or is it just 23? I don't know.
I think it's 23.1, right?
I think it's 23.1. Either way, it has uses Bookworm as its base, so Debian 12, XFCE 4.18, Fluxbox 1.3.7, or if you want the Plasma 5.27, and it uses the UFW firewall, which is enabled by default, which I think is fantastic. Anyway, I think MX is a great. I think it's a great new user distribution as well, because it's got it's very easy to get going with MX. So I think in a different way, I feel like it competes with Linux Mint, but maybe in a more Spartan feel to it. Maybe, I don't know, but it's got a great dark theme. So that's.
I think MX can be used in the same way like Linux Mint, that it has a lot of little apps, little
Yeah.
utilities to make it easier to use. But I think MX also has a lot of advanced features that maybe Linux Mint doesn't have, like the way
It
you can
does.
the way you can customize your ISO, or like for reinstallation your key, and a lot of different things like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of the old fun Linux tools that it keeps bundled in by default. Like the things that as a nerd when you first got into Linux, like, oh, I can do this. That's neat, and they've kept those in there, and I think that's pretty sweet. That's pretty rad.
Yeah, they do a good job at MX, I must say, and Dolphin's always willing to come on and have a chat, and he's one of the nicest guys you'd meet. I think he's pretty good and very knowledgeable, and yeah, haven't used MX for a long time, I must say. I don't like to use the MX the XFC desktop, but they do have KDE now, so.
Mm-hmm. So I like their XFCE desktop. I think it's basically perfect.
Even that vertical taskbar?
You can make it on the bottom if you want. It's just a click.
There's a reason for that.
And he gives a very good reason. One of my people in the IT shop that I have, he uses MX Linux quite often to repair Windows machines.
Oh, really?
Which I always
Yeah.
get a kick out of quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rewriting boot sectors, things of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes, I use Antics for fixing such things like grub problems or whatever.
Yeah. I've only had that happen once with an update on, I think it was Min 20. And all I got was that grub error boot up message. It's my work machine. That's not allowed to happen. So I'm just freaking out because it's been quite a while since that machine was backed up. So just went outside, breathe, primal scream, and then come back and give MX a shot and back, baby.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
did go back into the grub afterwards to try to figure out what went wrong and how did it fix it. And that was interesting. Yeah. Educational.
Yeah, I think grub is one of those things that I don't mess with, because every time I do, I mess it up. So I let the experts that spin it all together do their job, and then I stay with it.
Especially with some updates, it says, would you like to keep the existing grub or would you like to update it to the newfangled one? I'm going, what's a new user supposed to respond with? Newest is best, sure. Or stick with what is known to be working. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always stick with the old anyhow.
Right. As a new user here with Linux, I normally stick with the old version of Grub.
Smart. I found that out the hard way. That it's good to stick with the older one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's one thing I don't like about Linux is like, please don't give me a question. No questions. I don't want a question. Now I have to think about what I'm doing. What am I choosing?
I would argue that's actually what I like. So with Zipper,
No, I don't.
I'll be asked the question, like, so if I want to basically keep the keeping the obsolete as an option because it can't, there other things don't quite line up, and it's, or do I want to switch repositories to the new libraries or whatever, and I like that. I like that option, I guess, but I think they probably should have an easy option where it just goes a conservative, keep obsolete. Probably would be good. So. Keep obsolete, don't change repos, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's like I chose the new one. What's gonna go wrong?
Or maybe put in brackets, stick with the old if you have no idea what these questions mean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That'll be good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it should be, I think. For sure. And so obviously, Jinda's using MX. I see that there's somebody else. Well, Linux Guru was on MX on his framework for a year and a half before moving to Debian 12, which is kind of like MX still, I think.
Yep, pretty much without the tools.
Yeah. Debian. That's MX sans the tools.
Hmm.
And I still have a virtual machine of MX. The beta we installed, I still have that. The libretto. There was something behind the name, Wildflower Libretto. Do you remember what that was? There's a story behind it, and I can't remember what it was. That dolphin. I don't know.
It didn't work.
Well, I was hoping maybe somebody like Eris remembers these things.
Every time I see the name
remember that one.
libretto, I think of stiletto, but it's not a knife, so no, not sure where my head is at.
So when I hear libretto, I
I
think
remember the previous name of MX, the Ugly Duckling. Remember that one?
I don't remember that one.
Patito Feo.
Oh yeah, Potato
remember-
Feo.
Yeah, that was their previous name, I think. But I don't know I don't remember what the origin of the wildflower is. Maybe it was the wallpaper. I'm guessing. I don't remember at all though.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's something, and maybe somebody will remember, and they'll put the comments or something on the YouTube thingy. Anyway, MX Linux is great. I think it's a fantastic distribution. It's I'd like to see Dolphin Oracle more often, but I realize he's a busy guy. He's doing that whole building distro thing.
And he does scouts too, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah,
That
he's really
keeps
busy
him
with that.
too.
So he's out in nature, quite a bit.
Yep.
I mean, if you were living on your side of the world, Colin, you'd probably be dead.
Nah, be right.
Maybe
Couple
not.
of kangaroos and drop bears, you'd be fine.
Yeah. What was that meme you sent me? Kangaroos are nothing more than.
They are they're deer that's been in jail.
Yeah.
Angry boxers.
Yeah. Deer that have done time. Yeah. All right. So in July, Swift's favorite distribution was one that we took for a trip. It was Solus, and Solus has had quite a year this year. With early on in the year that it had with their website was down for a while, had some leadership changes, some infrastructural issues, I guess. But now it's back on track. We have Joshua Strobel. He's getting more involved with the project again. And then Ike is getting involved in the project again. And there's a CentOS is going to kind of morph into Solus in some fashion. So anyway, so exciting things in 2023. I'm sure we're going to see some things come out in 2024. I think I am willing to bet there's going to be a lot of Solus news in the next year.
Really looking forward to it.
So besides,
Yeah, I hope so.
Besides Swift, is anybody else using Solus?
Crickets.
I was well, this laptop that I've got out Lubuntu running on, I was running Solus on there, and besides LXQT, Solus is probably one of the better ones that actually runs on that laptop. Because I think it's because of the clean nature of how it's designed. It does run pretty well.
What are the specs of that machine?
I can't remember. It's I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, no problem.
IdeaPad 110, not quite. I don't know what the specs are, but it's not the fastest thing in the world, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But I'm happy to hear that, just from conversations I've had with Ike himself, that he wanted to have it so that any normal person could enjoy the OS without feeling
Yeah.
like they have to have the latest or the greatest. And I've run it on a T420 for many years, so I've run it
Okay.
on X60 for crying out loud, and it's done really nicely. So yeah, I can testify that it'll work on even relatively, low range hardware.
Yep.
so for what it's worth, Swift, I still have a VM of Solus. I didn't wipe it out. So it's not, I don't use it often, but I do have a VM, and it's not up to date. It's a couple months out probably, but nonetheless, it's there.
That's fine, because once you update it, it'll work just fine.
No, well, I'll check that out after the show. I'll get it rolling. Yep. So we'll see what happens with Solus. I hope that they put a lot of some more energy into Budgie, and they do some exciting things with it. They've done a lot of really neat things in the last few years, and I felt like it lost a lot of momentum. But I feel like the momentum is, I feel like the wind is in its sails right now, and I hope that it continues to be a lot of fun to use. So I'm sure we'll hear from Swift on how the Solus train is chooching along. So, anything on Solus? Anybody had any thoughts on Solus? Some words of wisdom?
Just highly recommend, if anybody hasn't used it, to at least check it out, see what you think, and kind of go from there.
It's good advice. It's good to kick the tires on such things. And thank you for the link, Jinda. In August of this year, we took Rhino Linux out onto the... I was going to make some sort of reference, but I kind of lost it. We took Rhino Linux out for a ride, and I think we had
To
like
the
a lot
savannas.
to the
To
savannah.
the
There we go.
arena.
Savannahs.
And we kind of had some mixed. It was kind of a mixed bag for people. I enjoyed it. I didn't have any issues, any glaring issues. I think there was some minor things that, like some bumps, some paper cuts, but I think it was for the most part it went pretty well. And a little history on Rhino Linux. It was started in 2020 by Martin Wimpress. He has released a bash script to turn the latest daily release of Ubuntu into a rolling release of Ubuntu, and then it morphed from there into Rhino Linux as a successor of Rolling Rhino. That some people felt they needed to restart the project to make it have a better foundation, and they started. And so a lot of people are now depend on Rolling Rhino or on Rhino Linux, and uses XFCE as the DE, which is slower moving, so a more stable platform.
And it's a very their desktop, their XFCE desktop is very nice. You probably wouldn't even think it's XFCE, to be honest, the way they've done that desktop and tweaked it to make it their own. And they have made some new changes too, I think, and new changes to their upgrades and whatever. I know Eric was I remember Eric was saying he's having problems with it. Because I remember I suggested to try the Rhino Linux because I was following that project.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Eric had a few issues with it. I can't remember what they were, but it's an interesting project to say the least. I think they're also using that what's it called? It's got the desktop overview that comes with XFCE. I can't remember what it's called now. It's
I don't recall.
they use that. Yeah.
They have like their own XFCE customized version. It's like unique to theirs.
It's pretty cool.
Well, I like it. I thought it was a fun project, and I hope it continues as well. It's just another. I like rolling distributions. I just think they're fun, except for Arch. Arch is, And then in
I
September
would
we
say
did,
the stability of Rhino was questionable at the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
Right.
it would work for a while and then it would break, and there was like no recourse other than to reinstall.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be painful. I didn't have mine break on me, and I still have it. I should try updating that one too. I might, and the I don't know, if I have some time, I'll dork around with those. But yeah, I do remember. I can't remember what Eric's issues were though. If it completely became unusable for him, I really don't remember.
No, I don't remember either, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, welcome Steve and Vince. Nice to have you on the last Linux Saloon of 2023. Nice to see that.
Oh God! Did me and Vince join at the same time?
Yeah. Well, my guess is
Oh, how did that happen?
were you guys
And we're in the same.
were you guys like skipping along and decided to hold hands and join Linux Saloon at the same time? I mean, I'm all in favor of that.
Not that I'm gonna say.
I don't really like Steve. What are you talking about?
Not true. Steve has the least punchable face in all the internet. So everybody loves Steve.
Hello.
Look at that face. Don't you want to like reach out there and like grab those cheeks?
Yeah, they are kind of
Sounds
chubby.
like sounds like a TV show. Everybody loves Steve.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually,
I think Steve. Now that
I
Steve's
just want to
retired,
hug Steve.
I do too. You know, I didn't hug him Steve, did I hug you when we met? I can't remember. Probably not.
No.
That'd have been weird. I'm sorry. I probably should have given you a big hug. Yeah. So like a really awkwardly long hug too, you know?
well, that's me. I usually give the long hugs. I'm a huggy kind of guy.
Yeah. That's fun. Steve, are you using Solus at all? No, you're on like Pop or Cinnamon.
Just on Pop.
No, just on Pop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just on Pop.
And Vince probably joined to tell me I'm wrong about Arch, I'm sure. So thank you for being here, Vince, to tell me I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't mind being told I'm wrong. I can be often wrong.
Well, he's not wrong.
Wait, huh? All right. So in September we did Debian Bookworm, and I guess I know that Rick, he's using it now, but I think that was actually a really enjoyable release of Debian, maybe the most enjoyable that I've had. But so Debian celebrated 30 years this year in August. And so Ian Murdoch, who is no longer with us, he wrote and the comp.os.linux.development news group about the completion of a brand new Linux release, which he named the Debian Linux release. So it was he built the release by hand from scratch, and basically started what might be the largest family of distributions and of Linux. So anyone here still running a Bookworm instance? I guess maybe LMDE, is that Bookworm? Is that based on Bookworm, or is that based on a previous?
LMD6 is on 12, yeah. Debian 12.
So you're technically on Debian 12 then, sort of.
A very pretty Debian 12.
Yes, very pretty Debian 12.
Yeah.
It's like the Steve of Debians. Yeah. You don't want to punch it. And then, is there anybody else here running Debian 12? So have you had any issues with Debian?
Who, me?
Yeah, anybody.
Zero.
Yeah.
The only reason I was pursuing something based on Debian is I need Hibernate. It's a requirement at work. So
Okay.
and I could not enable Hibernate properly in Ubuntu after version 16. LTS versions 18 on, they got rid of that feature for some reason. Not sure why. So I was on Debian 11, well, version 9 all the way to 11, and tried to theme Cinnamon as best as I can, XFCs as best as I can. So when I found out that LMD4 existed, I tried that. Pretty good. Sluggish desktop, but okay. LMD5 was a remarkable improvement, and they still kept the Hibernate feature available. LMD6 a lot faster. I've got my Hibernate. I can change my desktops quite easily without any kind of issues. So yeah.
Well, that's great. I think I've used Hibernate in OpenSUSE, but I just think it just takes too long to hibernate when I could just close the lid and be done with it. So
Yeah.
why is that a requirement? I'm just curious.
Just not just me, but a number of people at work. We bounce from room to room, building to building, run around, and we just need to maintain machine state, whatever your work state is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the trip can be longer than that sleep, would allow my battery to be sort of halfway available. So being able to sleep for, I think it's got it set right now for 45 minutes, it'll sleep. And if it's not woken up, it goes into hibernate.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I turn on the machine, I'm exactly where I was when I left on that trip. So
That's
pretty
good.
important. It's just so much less aggravation getting
Right.
back to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. And so a lot of people say, a lot of people at my office and friends would say, well, turning on Hibernate, man, you're just going to wear down your SSDs. And I say, dude, I'm in my 60s now. It'll outlast me if I hibernate every day. So, yeah, no, it's not
Yeah.
an issue anymore.
Yeah, I think that's an issue anymore. That's one of those. That's one of those like legacy old wives' tale kind of things people say. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
SSDs are pretty good. I mean, when I started using SSDs, I left a buffer space of like just so that there's no way I could use it all, with that whole idea of like the whole don't wear it out as quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That was dumb, but whatever. That's what I did at the time. That was back in 2018 when I was young and silly, in my late 30s.
I'm not sure when the Intel, I think it was the 830 SSD, it's a 64 gig thing that we still have in play. I think it's on an invoicing machine or something. And that thing goes back to when SSDs came out. That would be what, 2014?
Oh, wow.
2012? I'm not sure how long ago that was.
Well, I
But
first
yeah.
got those hybrid SSHD. What do they call it? SSHD or something like that?
Yeah, SSHDD or SSHDD, I think so. Yeah. We couldn't use those because they were made by Seagate primarily, and apparently we have a policy at my office, no Seagates, so ever.
I understand that.
Yeah.
My very first hard drive I ever bought for my Amiga 600 was a Seagate. And just before it went, just before the warranty expired, it died. So I got another one, and that one died just before the warranty expired also, which is good, just before the warranty. Obviously they didn't calculate it right. And then I got another hard drive, which also died, but it was so it was also Seagate. But it was
Oh,
also, yeah.
man. And probably on your birthday, too.
Probably, I think it was around my birthday, because actually when I got it, yeah. That's how it would happen back then.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So now it doesn't have a hard drive.
Yeah.
Well, just be thankful that you didn't buy a mini scribe and you got a brick.
Oh, you go back. Yes. Yeah, mini scribes. The hardware was quite excellent. I mean, all the way the full height 5 1/4 inch stuff and the half height 5 1/4 inch stuff was quite quite excellent. Their 3.5-inch, they did not survive because their failure rate was just unbelievable. Yeah.
Did you ever have a hard card that you put in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I never
Into
had
a
one of those.
16-bit ISA
Yeah.
slot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bragging rights, but you know what? As soon as you put the skin back on the computer, it's like, you got to take the skin off and just, hey babe, check it out, and
Yeah,
that works well. They were slow though.
Were they slow?
Yeah,
I mean,
I found them slow.
Gotta be faster than a floppy drive though.
Yeah, that screeching sound of the floppy though, it's magic.
Was it the what were the hard drives? How come I can't remember the first hard drives? Was it MFM? No. What was it?
Yeah,
Something-
MFM.
MFM. Yeah, those had a very
On
distinctive
desktops.
sound, like an old like a IBM like 5150 or 5155 or whatever the next version was, and those
5160 was the
5160.
XT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that those would sound, it's actually it's a really neat sound. I think how they they spin up and then the one would do the seeking as it would begin, and then it would start doing its thing. And
I remember when we were doing a lot of Novell comp serving these things just to prep them for use. I love the Micropolis was my favorite because the sound it makes was just money. It was just great. But the Priam branded ones, the first time we tried them out, never heard good things, never used them before, turned them on, plugged them in, turned them on, and all you heard after a couple of seconds of spinning up was like a ball bearing falling down inside the drive. And apparently this was normal. So
oh wow,
it's a little off-putting.
Yeah, it does sound off-putting, especially with something like spinning around inside there or whatever. That'd be
like oops, something fell off.
You lost it.
But I guess it was the brake
head.
release or something for the head. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I can see that probably some sort of electromechanical, like a solenoid or something like that at that time.
Yeah.
Good times.
I still have a couple of those SCSI drives, the Micropolis. These ones are 330 mags and a 760, I think it was, or 1 gigabyte, not 1 terabyte, 1 gigabyte. And I actually hooked it up on a machine with, I think it was Antix I was using. And yeah, the bus logic SCSI controller was recognized. I guess it's in the kernel. Didn't realize it would still be there. This was just a year and a half ago.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I get to hear that beautiful sound again from the late 1980s, I guess. Yeah.
That's a good times right there.
Very slow.
Yeah, but it was a neat time in the history of computers. It was a neat time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're kind of running out of time here, so we should probably hurry up. In October, we did Ubuntu Unity. We didn't get a single vote on this one in the straw poll, which kind of surprises me. But anybody here still got an instance of Ubuntu Unity going? No? That's all right. So Unity, for those that don't remember, was the default Ubuntu desktop up until from 2010 to 2017, and then it was retired in favor of using GNOME because they were restructuring some things and whatnot. And so now it's really neat to see that it's actively developed and maintained with releases of Unity 7 every year, and you can keep riding that Unity train if you like. And I kind of think that I think Ubuntu should go back to it, but that's my opinion. Make that the default again. I just think it's a much more enjoyable experience than the GNOME desktop, but that's me. That's my opinion, and I think Unity just has a very unique look about it. It's very, to me, it just says Linux. It was just different enough than the other paradigms at the time when it came out that I think it just stood out, and I think that was a really neat. It was a really neat feature of Ubuntu at the time. So.
Just need to make some caps now. Muga, M-U-G-A. Make Ubuntu great again.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh,
We'll wear,
wow.
we'll wear purple hats, purple and brown hats, and say
I
that.
think it's
Yeah.
amazing how that's changed over the years. Because when Unity came out, I was a complete hater of it. I'll admit it. Wrote a couple blog posts about it that weren't very favorable. And over the years, my attitude has changed because now it's more like if that's what makes you happy, enjoy.
Yeah.
You do this, and I'll do that because there's
Yeah.
so many options available. So it's good to have that kind of change. I mean, I've given it a try. I've checked it out, and I really hated it. And I'm glad that other people are able to enjoy it though, because I know there's stuff that I like that other people don't like. So it works out.
Yeah, the it's not like my favorite desktop like environment. Obviously, I prefer Plasma, but I think that it was just it's nice to use the HUD system. The way they were the first to have like the Unity really pushed the whole desktop, all the desktops basically. So I think Plasma incorporated a lot of Unity-like features after Unity, and I think that made Plasma better, which is why I have such an appreciation for Unity in and of itself. I think Plasma incorporated a lot of the great things about it, and it's just neat to see, Unity and that it's continuing. So I think that's fantastic.
I think at the time that Unity was just not accepted simply because it was so different
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
everything else.
And
It was like, what is this?
right.
We all know.
It was also
I was
initially
too orange.
It's a
Yeah,
weird
I mean,
advertisement thing, didn't they?
it had the HUD display and how that would take over your screen and the vertical taskbar at the time, and that was just not normal. It was like I don't know how to interact with this. So that's kind of like my perspective of the throwback to Unity at the time.
Yeah. I think going from 3.1.1 to 95 was also probably pretty painful in the same way.
Yeah, I think it's too different too quick. I think that's the problem. I think I get back to the theming side. I mean, a lot of people used Linux because theming was one of the biggest things. You lost all that once Unity came around, and it was completely different to what the original what would you call it, the original GNOME desktop was, because it was completely changed. So I think it just caught people by surprise, to be honest, because people really didn't have a chance to warm up to it. It was just like, bang, there it is. Good luck with this one. And I think that's what hit really hard, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I think GNOME was pretty much in flux at the time as well. So it was like,
Yeah.
we're going to a new version of GNOME and come along with us, and people were like, no, that's not what I want to use.
Come along and join the party. Come along and have some fun. Yeah.
Well, you're right that it was a big departure, because I recall going from GNOME 2, hearing about the Ubuntu Netbook remix, and I was actually going to use that on one of my machines at the time. But then all of a sudden it's like, bam, Unity. And that was what in turn made me decide to go to Linux Mint in the first place, when I saw it was I had another option to go to and use Mate and just kind of go from there. And so, interesting experiment, but
yeah,
the way things have played out kind of shows whether or not it was a good idea or not.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks for itself as far as I'm concerned.
Eris, your hand is raised.
So in the latest episode of Linux User Space, it was mentioned that Canonical was part of contributing to GNOME, and they had given GNOME some notes about what they wanted in a new version, and they said that those requests fell on deaf ears, so that's why they felt compelled to start Unity.
So
That kind of makes sense, to be honest.
Let me get this straight. Canonical asked for some flexibility from GNOME, and they told them no.
Yeah, this is before GNOME 3 came out. Some requests for like features and things. And you can hear more about it in the latest Linux user space
Fantastic.
episode about GNOME.
Yeah,
Definitely, I'll be watching that one for sure.
Yep.
no, download it, man.
And then the last distribution that we took on a little bit of a joyride, which actually was a joyride for, I think, everybody, was Lubuntu. Not only do we have, I think Dan joined us for that one, and we had Simon Quigley, he joined us as well. And that was actually a lot of fun to actually be able to talk to Simon about his distribution and all the work he puts into it. And then Dan, of course, is being very modest about his contributions, which are probably greater than what he leads on. So, but yeah, that was a really neat exploration. I really enjoyed LXQt. And is anybody here still running LXQt? Oh, okay, Colin. Yeah.
I ran it for some months, but then this again back to this YouTube channel. They started talking about Wayland and how everybody should be running Wayland. So I stopped using Lubuntu and I started using Ubuntu 23.10. Otherwise, I would still be probably using Lubuntu.
I wonder if you can get Wayland on Lubuntu by using the Kwin compositor.
No, I don't think so. Can you? That has nothing to do with Wayland, is it?
Yes, you could, because it's the compositor. I mean, you can use the window manager. Can be either X11 based or, Qt X11 or Plasma X11 or Kwin X11 or Kwin Wayland. So I wonder. I think that might be a fun experiment.
That's a setting in the session settings where you can specify your window manager, and you can when I used Lubuntu, I used the XFCE window manager. I always forget what it's called. XFWM4 or something.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah. That way I could tile better, because with OpenBox I couldn't get like the tiling by dragging your mouse over to the corners. But you could do that with the XFCE window manager.
So Dan Simmons says, I think it's directed toward you. Single-handedly deep sixed the distro I worked on with podcasts. Eris. I think Ubuntu is a great distribution for a lot of things. Like lower spec hardware, I think is one, and I prefer the LXQt over the LXDE iterations. I think it's overall more enjoyable to use, and I like the ability to actually use Kwin for my window manager as well, which is nice.
I think it's safe to say that it's like the premier LXQt desktop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
for sure.
distro. I don't think there's a better distro that does a better job with it.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a more complete package. Has a little weirdness kind of is smoothed out, I think, as compared to other LXQt based experiences. Like the OpenSUSE one is okay, it's fine, but I think don't tell the OpenSUSE folks, but I think that Lubuntu's better, just as an overall experience. So, anyway, so those were the distributions we used in 2023, or that we explored, and on your list, Eris, you had Fedora, but we didn't test that one out. Was that a troll?
It was actually a red herring, yes.
Oh, a red herring, not a troll.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, I thought we did do it, even though I did the show notes. In my mind, I thought we did. So it didn't. I didn't like my mind. I didn't flag it at all. So failure to pay attention on my part. All right. So next week we are not going to have a Linux Saloon. I'm going to take a call it a holiday break at the beginning of the year, and or post holiday break, a refit, a reset, whatever.
Go on holiday, like people say in Europe.
Yes, I'm gonna go on holiday. That'll be yes. So where am I gonna go? I don't know. I think I want to take the kids someplace, and I don't want to have to like think about preparing for a show on Saturday. So, just it's the end of their Christmas break, and I want to go have some fun with them. So anyway, that's what I'll be doing. So the cubicle labs will be locked. So Steve, please don't try and break in again, okay?
Sure.
No promises, right?
Vince, stop making me do that.
No. So we do have a Linux Saloon calendar, and I will have that updated within the next. And I also have the site area, so I'll try and get that worked out as well, for making sure all that stuff is on there. And also, if you have any suggestions at all, like any discussion suggestions, distribution, application, or poll ideas for a straw poll, please send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. I actually have not had an email in a while, but I have had some direct messages and different things about stuff. So email. I like email. Email is fun. Although I have like 700 some odd emails I didn't check for a few days. So there's that. I'll try and get it cleaned up. And that actually, we're pretty much at time now. So we're going to go on. Did anybody have anything? Well, this is last call. So did anybody have anything they wanted to throw out there? Vince, do you have any plans for the new year? You're going to be in 2024 before the rest of us, you and Colin. So actually, who's going to be in 2024 first? Are you in different time zones?
That'll be me before Colin, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Vince will be in
By a few hours.
3 hours.
3
Yeah.
hours. That's the time difference between you two. Wow.
Mhm.
Yep.
Holy cow! I had no
Only
idea.
because it's daylight savings. We don't have daylight savings in Perth,
Oh, okay.
so he
Guys are
goes ahead
weird.
1 hour. Otherwise, it's normally 2 hours. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, so yeah, we don't have daylight savings. We're normal over here.
Oh, okay. So I must know if Colin, if you were to drive to where Vince lives, how long of a drive would it be?
I think Google Maps told me when I went over there last year, it was 30 something hours, I think. So I did it in 3 days, I think, driving. No, 3 or 4 days. 4 days, I think, driving about 6 to 8 hours a day. And you're not supposed to drive at night because too many kangaroos and stuff around.
Right. I would assume there's a lot of things you can't do at night in Australia. So do you go is it like straight line-ish, like through the country, or is it like you have to go around the shoreline?
Pretty much. You go on the Nullarbor, which is has, I think it's got one of the longest stretches of road. It goes for like, I don't know, 130, 140 Ks with no bends. It's quite a monotonous drive.
Oh, is that road that I heard is one of the deadliest in the world because there are no bends? Like you say, it's all straight. People fall asleep.
Yeah, well, you pretty much got to stay alert, driving on a road that's so straight for so long. But I didn't find it too bad. I thought it was not that bad. But yeah, you do have to go up and cut back through Adelaide and South Australia and then come back down again. That's the only big difference. But it's a pretty good drive. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Loved it.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't never say 36 hours sounds like a great time of driving, but to each his own.
Not all that in one hit though, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's over 3-4 days, but I mean, it's interesting. I like driving and I always have. Love it.
That's very cool.
Hmm.
Never been to Australia. Sounds like well, I'd like to come back alive. That'd be my concern. So
I don't know.
That's just their
Not
story to
much.
keep us away.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
secret.
yeah, I mean, well, it's working because I'm sure they just cherry pick all like the worst stories about people getting attacked in porta johns by snakes and spiders and things, and yeah, that's
Everything's
The drop
poison.
bears are the worst. Gotta watch out for those.
the what
the what?
Drop bears.
drop.
The drop bears.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's a
Yeah,
drop
the
bear?
koalas.
Oh, koalas. They're the worst, really.
Mm-hmm.
They look so cute and cuddly.
They are, but they can be
But there's-
absolutely deadly
there's a-
as well.
Yeah, there's a species of koalas that have fangs.
Hmm.
Poisonous fangs.
Of course, in
Yeah.
Australia. Yeah, I'm sure this might be a made-up story, but I'm just going to believe it. I don't care.
Why would you think that?
Because I think Steve brought up a good point. You probably tell these stories so people stay away, and you can have your island to yourself. I mean, your continent to yourself.
No, it is an
Apparently,
island.
too. They can brag. They got all these crikey people, you know.
Yeah.
Crikey, that's a big
Yeah.
tail.
I mean,
Yep.
so yeah. I mean, I think Ben's tech room. He says it right. He says Australia is horrifying. So I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't want to test it. That's all I know.
I've been camping many times when I was younger, all through the bush, through Victoria and other places. Not that bad. Although I did go camping one night and there was this massive screaming. I think it might have been like a pig or something, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. So that was one of my most scariest nights. Didn't know what was going on there. So yeah, I have had the odd one or two instances there, but it's not so bad.
So I think.
I mean, nothing more scarier than coming across a bear in the woods of Canada or wherever those bears are. I mean, they're dangerous,
yeah.
aren't they?
No,
For such a big animal, they can move.
Michigan has
The
bears.
northern tier.
Yeah.
To teach them to hang their bear bags. You got to eat before 4 o'clock. Change your clothes.
Yeah, right.
I did it was across northern Michigan, northern Lower Peninsula, Michigan. It was a relay run. So you do like, I don't know, 4 to 6 mile stints basically. And you have to basically pass the baton, like go to one end and then the next person starts there. And so it was really long. It was like an all day event. And I did like, I don't know, 3 or 4 legs or something like that of the race. But I remember before starting in one area, one of the organizers says, "Hey, you got to be careful here. There are bears. Just ignore them. Just keep running." And I'm like, I can probably run faster than some of these people, so I'll be okay. But like, that's very frightening. That like, you might run into a bear, and like, there's bear crossing signs, in different places. Kalkaska County, I think is where it was, and it's like western northern Michigan. And I've only done that race once, and I have no desire to do that race again. I mean, actually, it was a lot of fun. Actually, I did it twice, but I don't want to do it again.
Just remember, you don't have to be faster than a bear. It's just faster than the slowest person that's in the group.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
And the thing is, though,
yeah, good advice.
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit slower now than I was, last time I did it. So it's probably not advantageous for me to do the race again. Although I don't know if it's happening anymore. Maybe they had too many people got eaten. I don't really know.
Relay run turns into relay sprint.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Anyway, so thank you, Vince, for being here. I appreciate it. It's nice to have the artwork being displayed that your
I love it.
your daughter did.
I try and make it when I can.
Yeah, I understand. Life's busy. We've got lots of things to do. There's more than just talk about computery things in life. So, but anyway, thank you for being here. Steve, are you doing a show tomorrow?
I actually am.
You are. Fantastic. On New Year's Eve. This is gonna have like fireworks going off behind you or something crazy.
Oh yeah.
You
Sure.
got all kinds of crazy things lined up. And even if you don't, that's fine too. So you're doing it. You go live at 8:15, 8:30.
8:30. Just I labeled it. No, it's not another New Year's or year-end review.
Maybe they were a little excessive for us this year. I don't know. I had fun with them. But you could do a year-end review of Steve's very own. Maybe like summarize all of your OBS tips and tricks.
That or make it boring and pull out my comic book collection. I don't know.
Ooh, that wouldn't be boring. I think you should pull out. I think you should pull out your comic book collection now. That'd be fun. That'd be fun for me.
Okay.
I have just Calvin and Hobbes.
Just for you.
Just for me, yeah. Just for one person. Cruz, new to Linux, new to Linux Saloon. I wish you a happy new year. I don't know if you had anything that you got planned for New Year's, if you even care. But thank you for being here. You can pipe in anytime if you want, but no, not necessary. Ron, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show. I think it's
about time, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen Ron on camera, I believe. It's good to meet you.
Oh, he was on last week. The elusive Ron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Too shy, man.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
If I had a choice, I wouldn't show my face either, but for different reasons. So, but yeah, thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a great New Year's and come back again next year.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too.
Swift, I know you have a you have a fun group on the Telegrams. I guess it's just for the nerds or just for the jocks? No, just for the nerds. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, it's called For the Nerds. And I'm on IRC. I mean, IRC. I'm on Telegram and IRC. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you had an IRC.
Yeah.
How did I miss this all this time?
Well, IRC, Telegram, and actually Discord as well.
Cool. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for being here. I always enjoy having you on Linux Saloon, so thank you very much. Hope to see you in the new year as well. It'll be great to have you again. Sean, I don't know if you have anything to say, any words of wisdom to pass along to the class before we close it out for the year.
Have a happy new year, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right. Now, is this like Ozzy see on the other side, or is this more like?
I'll let you decide that.
Okay.
I'll let you decide that.
What was that, Cruz? You got your mic on.
What was that, Cruz? You got your mic on.
Ooh, I can hear me.
Hello.
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 Good night.
Oh, definitely good night.
Definitely good night.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Zoom meeting with Cruz.
Oh. Well, I know what your name is, but I hope you have a happy new year.
I hope you have a happy new year.
Same to you. My name is Shanda.
Shanda? Well, thank you very much for listening. Yeah, it's nice to have.
For listening. Yeah.
And I hope you thoroughly enjoyed everything Linux.
Yeah.
That was discussed tonight.
I was trying to understand, but not much. I don't really understand much.
That's all
Oh,
right.
come back next time and you'll learn even more.
Okay, no problem.
We'll have a happy new year. Thank you so much.
No more questions.
Okay. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Well, Jinda, I've appreciated you being a part of this. This I don't say train wreck, but you know,
Well, it is when I'm here.
something. Something Saloony with lots of horses. I don't know.
Unexpected surprises.
Yes. So appreciate you being a part of it and all the contributions. So I hope you have a happy new year and you get to join us again next year.
Thanks so much. I'll be back.
Excellent. And Colin, please don't go camping.
No, I won't be. No, those days. Well, I will be hopefully sometime during this year. Be going camping again, but yeah, just focusing on the new home at the moment. So want to get that done and dusted and moved in.
How long do you think before that's done?
Oh, a few months. They haven't given us a definite date yet, which is frustrating. So yeah, because we've got to move out of this place as well. Yeah.
Oh, so there might be a few weeks that we won't have you. Then you'll be in the all your new digs after that.
Yeah, I'll be sorting a few things out, setting up the backyard and doing all that sort of stuff. So, making it cozy.
Yep.
So move in, make it cozy and get it done, over and done with. And then I can just sit here and chill out. You know what I mean?
Get some more technology and,
Yeah, make some more videos, which I haven't been making much of lately. So, get back into that again.
Yep. Well, yeah, I super appreciate you being here and it's great to have you. So,
it's good to be here.
Yeah. So have a happy new year and make sure you tell me how 2024 is, sometime.
Yeah. Well, it's New Year's Eve at the moment, just so you know.
I know.
New Year's Eve.
You're in the future. Yeah. You and Vince. So.
Yeah. We're in the future.
So hopefully.
Time travelers.
Yeah. I know. Right.
Time traveler. Yeah. Not much happening at the moment.
No, I'm okay with that. Eris, can't tell you how valuable you've been to me over this year, so I really appreciate it, and I hope you continue to be a part of it because you make it a lot more enjoyable. So thank you very much for being here, and hope you have a happy new year.
Thank you, Nate.
So with that, happy new year to everybody. I'm not going to plug my stuff just because who cares, and I hope that you'll join us again next year. I enjoyed Linux Saloon. It's kind of the fun nerdy talk that I get to do every week with my friends, and one is kind of a real friend, because I've actually seen him face to face, and hopefully I get to meet. Hopefully at some point I get to meet you all face to face. That's what I hope. I mean, if you want to meet me face to face, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody necessarily. But anyway, so Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network. Check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support. However you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Zoom meeting, the YouTube stream, and also if you watch the show after the fact, thank you very much for that as well. I want to thank also everyone who makes possible for us to enjoy Linux, to enjoy our technology, who helps us to have fun with these crazy bits of electronic and plastic, sometimes wood, bits of technology that we use, and Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer, and I don't think I would actually be using a computer if it wasn't for Linux. So this is so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly and for the new year. Until next time, see yous.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Oh, I should have probably put some sort of a screen with like fireworks or something, at the end. But
Choo, choo, choo.
yeah, like even like an 8-bit thing would have been kind of cool, like some
Happy New Year.
8-bit fireworks. Yeah.